The rain had been falling steadily all evening, drumming softly against the windows, when Ethan's phone buzzed. A frantic message flashed across the screen. "Ethan, it's Liam. I had an accident." His heart lurched violently, every instinct screaming him into motion. Without a second thought, he grabbed his coat and keys, muttering under his breath, "Hold on, I'm coming." Daniel, his boyfriend, texted immediately, "Be careful. Don't stay out too long." Ethan didn't respond. Worry and urgency eclipsed everything else. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and quiet anxiety. Ethan found Liam in a corner of the emergency ward, his arm in a makeshift sling, a thin cut staining the edge of his brow. Despite the chaos around them, Ethan only saw Liam, pale and trembling, a shadow of the vibrant friend he had known for years. Their last conversation, a trivial argument over plans and promises, felt meaningless now, erased by the sight of Liam lying there, fragile and vulnerable. When Liam opened his eyes, his gaze immediately sought Ethan's. "You came," he whispered, a soft tremor in his voice. Relief, guilt and something unnameable coursed through Ethan, making his chest ache. He squeezed Liam's hand gently, careful not to hurt him, and muttered, "Of course I came. I'm not leaving you." That simple moment, the intimacy of shared fear and care, planted the first seeds of tension between them, unnoticed at the time but impossible to ignore. Doctors, noting the injuries were not severe but required rest, discharged Liam with instructions and gentle warnings. "Stay in a safe place. Don't overexert yourself," one nurse advised. Liam, knowing his parents were abroad, looked at Ethan with a silent plea. Without hesitation, Ethan said, "Stay at my place for a few days. I'll take care of you." Daniel's voice hesitated over the phone. "Just a few days, okay?" Ethan assured him, though neither realized how fragile the boundary between friendship and something deeper would become in the days ahead. The apartment felt different with Liam in it. Every corner, every familiar object, seemed charged with new energy. Ethan helped Liam navigate the kitchen, cooked meals, and carefully changed bandages. Small gestures, a gentle brush of the hand, a lingering touch on the shoulder, felt heavier than they should. Liam laughed softly at Ethan's clumsiness with the stove, and Ethan found himself savoring the sound, the closeness. In quiet moments, when Liam rested against the couch pillow, Ethan watched him with an intensity he could not yet name, feeling something stir in his chest that was at once thrilling and terrifying. Daniel visited once during Liam's stay. His presence, once comforting, now felt like a quiet accusation. The subtle tension was unspoken, yet it clung to the air like humidity. Ethan noticed it, but he also noticed Liam's small, shy smiles directed solely at him. Caring for Liam had shifted the familiar balance, the laughter, the gratitude, the soft vulnerability. It all drew Ethan in a way that was both unexpected and dangerous. That night, Ethan was woken by a soft noise, a small whimper, a sound of unrest from the bedroom. He hurried to Liam's side and found him trembling after a nightmare. Liam's hand sought his, fingers curling around his wrist. "Don't go," he whispered, voice raw with need. For a moment, the world narrowed to the two of them, the warmth of his hand, the closeness, the shared breath. Ethan pulled back slightly, awareness striking him, yet he lingered, caught between instinct and restraint. As he left the room, Ethan's thoughts swirled with guilt and something he dared not name. The night stretched on, silent except for the rain against the window. That moment had changed something irreversibly. A thread of connection had been tugged, one that could not easily be unraveled. Voiceover would reflect Ethan's private admission. "That night, something shifted between us, something I couldn't ignore. And though I tried, I knew the days ahead would test more than just our friendship." The rain continued, steady and unrelenting, as Ethan returned to his bedroom, heart heavy with anticipation, unaware that the line between care and desire had quietly begun to blur. Morning sunlight crept through the blinds, casting pale stripes across the bedroom. Daniel lay on his side, pretending to sleep as Michael dressed quietly for work. Every sound, the click of a belt, the rustle of a shirt, felt sharper than usual, amplified by the guilt that throbbed inside him. He had kissed another man, and no amount of silence could erase it. Michael leaned down and brushed a soft kiss on Daniel's forehead. "See you tonight," he whispered, unaware of the storm in Daniel's chest. The door closed, leaving Daniel alone in the apartment. For a long while he lay motionless, staring at the ceiling. The kiss with Ethan replayed in his mind, vivid and electric. It wasn't only the kiss, it was the way Ethan had looked at him, as if he were more than the sum of his routines. Daniel knew he should bury the memory, let it fade, but instead he clung to it, both tortured and enlivened. By noon, Daniel found himself standing outside Ethan's market again. The door was open, the morning rush long gone. He told himself he was there for groceries, but his empty basket betrayed the lie. Ethan noticed immediately. "You didn't come here for apples, did you?" he asked, voice low, wary yet warm. Daniel shook his head. "I shouldn't be here." "But you are," Ethan replied, stepping closer, though careful not to touch him. And so am I. Their words lingered in the stillness, filling the space between honesty and restraint. Daniel forced himself to look away, to focus on the rows of fruit instead of the man who pulled at him with invisible threads. "I don't want to hurt Michael," Daniel said finally, his voice breaking slightly. "He trusts me completely." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Then maybe we stop now, before it goes any further." Daniel nodded, but the ache in his chest only deepened. He picked up a bag of apples he didn't need, paid for them, and left. The restraint felt noble in theory, but as soon as he stepped into the street, he was already longing to turn back. That evening, Michael suggested they cook together. They chopped vegetables side by side, Michael humming tunelessly, his presence steady and familiar. Daniel tried to match the rhythm, tried to laugh at the right moments, but the effort felt heavy. He was present in body, absent in soul. When Michael leaned in to kiss him, Daniel returned it dutifully, yet the fire was missing. He closed his eyes, and Ethan's face appeared unbidden. He pulled back quickly, covering the slip with a smile. Days passed in this divided state. Daniel moved through his routines, work, meals, conversations, but underneath, his mind remained restless. Each time he crossed paths with Ethan, the tension grew sharper, the distance harder to maintain. They spoke less, as though silence might protect them, but their eyes told the truth their mouths could not. One late evening, Daniel sat alone on the balcony, the city humming softly below. Michael had gone to bed, exhausted from a long shift. Daniel lit a cigarette he didn't even enjoy, exhaling into the night as though smoke might carry away his confusion. That he thought of Ethan, of the kiss they had shared, of the restraint they had tried to practice. He wondered if he had already crossed a line that could never be uncrossed, even if nothing more ever happened. Infidelity wasn't only in action, he realized. Sometimes it lived in thought, in longing, in the stolen minutes replayed when no one was watching. As the cigarette burned low, Daniel whispered to the night, "I can't keep living split in two." The admission terrified him, yet it also offered clarity. He could no longer pretend this was a passing distraction. Something had been awakened in him, something that would not go quietly back to sleep. Inside, Michael stirred, calling softly for him. Daniel stubbed out the cigarette and returned indoors, his face composed, his heart in turmoil. The choice loomed, impossible to avoid. Whether he turned toward Michael or Ethan, someone would be hurt, and the life he knew would change, and though he dreaded that moment, part of him longed for it too. The apartment felt quieter the next morning, like sound itself was holding its breath. Ethan stood by the counter, pouring coffee that had gone lukewarm. The storm had passed outside, but inside, something still trembled between them. Lucas sat at the table, scrolling through his phone, pretending not to notice Ethan's silence. Neither of them mentioned the night before, the fog, the question, the invitation that hovered unsaid. Yet every movement, every glance, carried the weight of it. "You didn't sleep much," Lucas said finally, voice cautious. "Neither did you," Ethan replied, taking the seat across from him. Lucas smiled faintly, though it didn't reach his eyes. "I kept thinking about what you said, about things being different in another life." Ethan's stomach tightened. He looked down, tracing a thumb along the mug's rim. "That was just talk." "Maybe." Lucas leaned back, watching him carefully. "But it didn't feel like just talk." The air thickened again, slow and charged. Ethan could feel the familiar ache of wanting to say more and the familiar fear that came right after. "You're overthinking it," he said softly, but his voice betrayed him. Lucas exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. "Yeah, maybe I am. Or maybe I'm just finally being honest." He stood, moving toward the window, watching raindrops slide down the glass. "Claire always said I never let people in. That I kept everyone at arm's length, even her." His reflection looked blurred, distant. "She was right. But last night, I didn't feel that wall with you." Ethan froze, the words sinking like stones. "Lucas, I'm not saying I understand it," Lucas interrupted. He laughed softly, uncertain. "When I asked if you ever thought about things being different, I wasn't asking just to ask. Ethan's pulse quickened. "You're straight," he whispered. Lucas turned around, his expression unreadable. "I thought I was." The words landed like a confession and a question all at once. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Ethan stood, unsure whether to step closer or farther away. "You don't know what you're saying," he managed. Lucas crossed the distance between them, slow and deliberate. "Then tell me," he said. "Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you didn't feel it too." Ethan's voice broke. "I can't." They stood inches apart now, no pretense, no laughter to hide behind. The silence was alive, pulsing with every heartbeat. Lucas reached out, his hand brushing against Ethan's arm, just enough to make him tremble. "This doesn't make sense," Ethan whispered. "I have Daniel." Lucas nodded. "I know." His fingers lingered for a second longer before dropping away. "And that's why I shouldn't have said anything." But the damage was already done. Ethan's breath came shallow, torn between guilt and relief. "You shouldn't have," he said, though every part of him was grateful that he did. Lucas gave a quiet, humorless laugh. "You know what's funny? I thought I came here to get over someone. Turns out I just found someone else I can't have." Ethan's chest ached. "Lucas, don't," Lucas interrupted softly. "Please don't make it harder by being kind." For a long moment, neither spoke. The sound of the clock filled the silence, steady and unforgiving. Then Lucas took a small step closer. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan nodded, unable to trust his voice. "Did you ever want to tell me back then?" Lucas asked. "In college?" Ethan met his gaze, eyes burning. "Every damn day." Lucas smiled sadly. "Guess I was too blind to see it." The space between them vanished, slow, inevitable. When their lips met, it wasn't wild or reckless, it was soft, uncertain, the kind of kiss that carried more truth than permission. It lasted only a second before Ethan pulled away, breathing hard. "This can't happen," Ethan said, voice shaking. "It already did," Lucas replied. Ethan stepped back, running a hand through his hair. The guilt hit like a tide, cold and immediate. "I need you to go," he whispered. Lucas's expression faltered, but he nodded. "Yeah. I figured." He picked up his bag quietly, pausing at the door. "For what it's worth," he said, "you're not the only one who's confused." The door closed softly behind him. Ethan stood there, staring at the empty space where Lucas had been. The apartment felt different now, emptier, yet charged with something that refused to fade. He pressed his palms to the counter, exhaling shakily. Outside, the sky was clearing. Light broke through the clouds, too bright for how heavy he felt inside. Daniel would be home tomorrow. The lie would begin then. Ethan whispered to himself, voice barely audible. Sometimes the truest confessions are the ones we can't keep. And somewhere beneath the sound of the dripping faucet, he could still hear Lucas's voice, soft, sincere, unforgettable. "You don't have to be."